guys, and welcome to Betwixt the Books. Today we have a review for you. We are going to be reviewing River of Teeth by Sarah Gailey. My copy says American Hippo because it includes both River of Teeth sequel, Taste of Marrow, and a couple other short stories by Sarah Gailey. But we're only going to be talking about River of Teeth today, which is a novella. Gretchen will hold up just the novella itself when it switches over to her. This is set in a alternate reality where hippos were introduced to America, to the South and the marshlands there to do some animal control, and as always happens when humans do that, the hippos then went crazy and there were feral hippos now in that area. It is a sort of Western, sort of heist story, so if that sounds interesting to you, that's what this book is about. For me, I rated this book, I want to say about 4 stars. I just finished reading it today, so that may change, but I want to say about 4 stars. It might be 3.75 or 4. We're about there, if that gives you any idea on my opinions of it. It had a wonderfully diverse cast of characters, and it was engaging for the whole time. It's very action-packed, a little bit funny, and has a good sense of humor, and I just loved the idea of it. So yeah, if it sounds like something that you would enjoy, please feel free to go pick it up. Gretchen's going to give you her opinion, and then we will talk about some more things as the video goes on.
So this is what the actual art of just the novella looks like, and I have to say I much prefer this version of the cover. You can't see the detail, I'm sure, from what I'm holding, but it's just so, like, it's art. There's art of cowboys riding hippos on this cover, and I love it. The reason that we chose to read this book was because one of the categories on our Betwixt the Books reading challenge was to read a book with non-binary representation, and we tried to read Robin Hobb's first book in the Farseer trilogy, and we decided that while that does have a character who presents as non-binary in it, it was not, like, that character wasn't really the focus of that series. So we said, okay, let's read a different one. And Michaela said, what about this one? It's a novella. And I said, yes. I did not necessarily look at what the book was about. So when I read the back of it and discovered that it was The Italian Job, or Ocean's 11, set in alternate history 1890s with hippos, I was like, what in the bananas have I signed up for? This book, I do love the group heist, so this is playing to something that I really do enjoy. For me, it sits closer to 3 stars for reasons that we will talk about, but if you are looking for a bizarre, rollicking heist with feral hippos in less than 200 pages, I didn't know that that was something that I would want necessarily to have read in my life. But while it does sit closer to 3 stars, I'm not sad. It was diverse, it was funny, it was really fast to read. Even novellas can be slogs sometimes if they're written poorly, but this one was real fast. And again, hippos. Cowboy hippos. That's really all you need to know.
I wanted to start out by talking about that diverse cast of characters for this heist. We have a can, maybe bi, but definitely does not care about gender when it comes to their romantic relationships. Lead man, the brains, the head guy in charge. He is also of Asian descent, or at least mixed race with some sort of Asian. It is commented on in the story. We have a non-binary character, like we talked about. We have a white man, because there needs to be at least one, and then 2 different women, one of whom is Latina. She comes from out west, so while her specific country of origin or ethnicity was not mentioned, I would be inclined to say somewhere in Central America, be it Mexico or somewhere else. But, you know, we have different races being represented here, as well as genders and sexualities. Super appreciated seeing all of that, especially in something that is so short. There was also a point where they are discussing why they need to have a white man on the team because of the time period and the area in which this takes place in the American South, like pre-1900s, which I appreciated also, while having that representation, acknowledging also the aspects of that might be questionable for realism, if that makes any sense. Like needing to have a white man on the team because there are some people who would not talk to these other characters. They wouldn't interact with them in the way that you would think. So that's definitely there if you're looking for a diverse read. It's short, it's fast, the characters are great.
I am not going to disagree that this cast of characters was amazing. Outside of their diversity, they had great personalities. But here's the thing. Almost every character has had some kind of past relationship with another character. Sometimes business, sometimes personal. In some cases, it's this one character has saved... By the way, Michaela didn't say his name, but the main guy, his name is Winslow Remington Houndstooth, which is amazing. But anyway, like this other character has saved Winslow's life like 9.5 times. One of the characters is like pregnant by another character, and like that's all, like there's history there. And so it's just like there's a lot of stuff going on that you never get to really fully understand. And I mean, I don't need to understand every detail of these people's past lives because it went by so fast. I did not feel really their sense of deeper connections, even though they kept talking about them. So they kept saying it, but I felt that it was really never shown to me, which was annoying. So I kept thinking I either need more to this book or I need to read the book that comes before this book, because let me tell you, I would read a whole other book about individual hijinks that these individual members have been on. I'm sure they were amazing, and they involve hippo wrangling. This also shows up, there are some characters that get into a romantic relationship in the book, and the first time you see both of them, I'm speaking very generally because I don't want spoilers, but the first time you see both of them, you get the sense that they're very wary and they're very isolated, and they're kind of a little bit, you know, I would kill you just for funsies. So when like 3 pages later, they are very intimately like touching, flirting with each other, you're like, what's happening? What is... So I just... It's an unfortunate critique, but this is a novella, I understand that, but the story and the characters, the amount of story and characters that it contained, it needed more room that it didn't give me, and I want it. Hippo wrangling.
As someone who identifies as non-binary, I wanted to talk about the non-binary rep in this book. Hero is the character that is non-binary, and they use they, them pronouns. The one thing that I would say is that we get as close to zero description of their physical form as I can think of. The only thing I can think of that would maybe give us an inkling as to what they look like is one character sees the group and calls out the 2 men and then says ladies for the rest. So in theory, they would at least present to somebody who is not more discerning as somewhat feminine or possibly female outright. But they use they, them. Everybody in the close-knit group uses they, them when talking about them. Even some of the bad guys, so will use they, them when talking about this character. I kind of wish we had a bit more of their description. I understand why one would just like sort of glaze over that and not really talk about it, but I don't even know if we know what ethnicity Hero has. I'm not sure that was ever discussed or anything like that. So I kind of wish there was a little bit more. I appreciated that there was a they, them character. I appreciated that the other characters were accepting of that and they used the preferred pronouns. There was never really a discussion by any members of the group about why they were using they, them pronouns. They just sort of did, and I took that from them either knowing of Hero or just following the lead of other characters that were using they them pronouns. There could have been a little bit more, but again, this was a novella. It was very short. There weren't that many in-depth discussions about it.
I would like to say that I second all of that, but we're trying to not have this review be 30,000 years long, so I'm going to move on to something else. And I feel like negative Nancy in this review, but I don't know, I'm bad cop here. So there are two major deaths of people in the heist unit in this, and both of them drove me insane. I'm going to speak about them very vaguely so that I do not present spoilers if you would like to read this yourself, and I do recommend it, Hippo Wrangling. But the first death just seemed like there was a character that kind of felt like they were inserted just to die, and they died in a way that, like, what in the world were they doing? There was a clear danger present, and they were because they were inserted just to die, I felt no attachment to them. I had no inkling of who they really were, and then they were dead, and then everyone just moved on, except for maybe one character for like a hot minute, and I was like, okay. I didn't need to have it proved to me that the feral hippos were dangerous. You said band of feral hippos, and I was scared. I understood there was a real and present danger, but okay. And then the second death, which happens a little bit later, just felt very set up and very unsatisfying. I had a lot of questions about it, about why it would happen, and it's hard to say more without giving spoilers away, but there were way more satisfying ways for that death to also have occurred if it had to happen, and it felt like an opportunity robbed from another character. I had so many questions. I had so many questions about why they had to happen that way, especially when, in the grand scheme of things, it didn't super matter. So if you're going to spend that time with these characters who die in this short of a book, why?
Through talking about this with Gretchen, I think the culmination of what we came up with was that we kind of wish this was a full-length novel. We enjoyed so many elements of it, and the things that really bothered us would have been fixed if there was more space for character interactions, more space to talk about past histories, more space to get to know characters, instead of feeling like everything was happening rapid fire, one after the other. Here's this happening, now this is happening, and you're just sort of getting snippets of things, and things feel very rushed because it's a novella and there's only 130 pages, and you need to get in the entire heist, the meeting of the characters, the planning of the heist, the execution of the heist, some things going wrong, why things are going wrong. All of that stuff is packed into such a short amount of time that these things that bothered us definitely could have been smoothed out if there was more pages, more space. There is a second novella with the same characters in American Hippo, the copy of the book that I have, so I might read that and then tell you, like, yes, okay, so when we get more space and more time, there's more nuances and development put into it, but it's one of those things where, like, if she felt like that was the entirety of the story she had to tell, it's a novella, it is what it is, it has to move quite quickly. We just feel like if that was a full novel length thing, things would have been very different.
I heard recently that the people behind the original Ocean's 11 movies were considering doing a new Ocean's movie. Here is my request, Hollywood. If you feel that there is a need for a new heist movie, instead of making another Ocean's movie, please, please, please make me a hippo heist movie. I beg of you, it's right here. There is tons of opportunity to expand this story. Give me this. I beg of you. I want more. I would be interested in reading the other novella. Obviously, I don't have it, but I could get it. But now that I'm thinking about this, I want to see the hippo heist movie right now. I would pay $1 million at the box office. It would be a huge hit. Let's go. We do recommend this if you are interested. It is very short, so it won't take up too much of your time. For all of its faults, I am so glad that I read it, and I will be telling everyone about it because it is one of the more unique things that I think I've read all year. So we hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have read this, let us know down in the comments. If you've read the other one, let us know especially, and let us know what you think about the second novella. Or, you know, what is your thoughts on cowboys who ride hippos? You didn't know you needed to have those, did you? Comments right there. Thanks, guys.